Welcome to another edition of Port Charles Chat for the weeks of December 23rd through the 27th. I'm Mom.
And I'm Brandon.
Thank you guys for joining us again today. Well, this was a short week for us because of the winter holidays, and so we really only have about 3 days to discuss. However, they were three pack-filled days. All right, so let's talk about some of the storylines that occurred this week. Um, First of all, Emma Drake has returned. Emma is the daughter of Robin Scorpio, which means that she is the granddaughter of Anna Scorpio. And so Emma returned. Emma has come back on a regular basis throughout the years, and she periodically just kind of pops in and pops out. Well, it looks like she's here to stay for just a little bit. Apparently, unknowingly to her grandmother, Emma has decided to attend Port Charles University. She says she plans to live there and has a room ready to live in the dorm. Um, Anna's, of course, shocked by this news, along with everyone else who happens to be at the Scorpio Christmas Eve party. And so Anna does speak to Robin later. Of course, this is off camera. And we find out that Emma is not able to attend her current college any longer. She has been kicked out. Apparently, Emma had a little bit of a party in her room, and so they have let her go. And apparently, 200 of her dorm mates no longer have a place to live because of the party that took place in her room. So anyway, so Emma's out of school in California, and so she decided that she is going to attend Port Charles University. Emma indicates that she wants to live on campus, and Anna says very quickly that she will not, and she will live with her. All right, and for the 3 days that Emma's been back, she's been very busy. All right, Brandon, your thoughts about Emma?
Yeah, it was certainly interesting to be reintroduced to Emma, or for me introduced, since this is the first I am seeing of her. We briefly heard about her like in bits and pieces throughout the months, but this is nice that I'm finally able to see who it is. I believe that the actress has been recast.
Yes, the actress has been recast. The original person who did play Emma, she had been on the soap for many, many years. And so they did recast the role. But I will say, I will miss the old Emma actress. But I'm looking forward to what this new actress has to offer too.
But overall, I'm definitely excited to see the possibilities of this and see more younger people in Port Charles, aside from just Trina, Jocelyn, and Geo, and I guess now Kai. Although I will say that we were first introduced to Emma in this case through Geo.
Yeah, we were. Emma appeared. She gave Geo a wallet while they were in the park. And then she came up to Geo later to get the wallet. And she and Geo had a little conversation. And then Emma gave the wallet back to another policeman. So I'm not quite sure what's going on there, but it'll be interesting to see because it looks like Emma has a little bit of trouble going on. All right. Our next storyline that I'm going to talk about is Charlotte and Lulu. Charlotte apparently has been in contact with Rocco. And so on Christmas Eve, Rocco receives a text from Charlotte. Charlotte both of them respond to each other. And Rocco sends Charlotte a picture of Lulu. Um, of course, Lulu happens to be nearby. And so Charlotte asks to speak to Lulu. Lulu's very surprised to hear from her daughter. And she says that she is going to do everything she can to come and see her. And of course, she leaves like that night. And she goes off to Prague. Now, she is followed by one of Brennan's people. Um, but she does leave to go to Prague to see Charlotte. While she is in Prague, she does meet up with Charlotte, and they have a nice conversation. And then at the end of the episode, we see Valentine as he's lurking behind the door. All right, Brand, what were your thoughts?
Well, I have a lot of thoughts in terms of this. First of all, Tracy Quartermaine gave Lulu a whole lecture about do not abandon your kid on Christmas, and then she goes and abandons her kid on Christmas to go find said other kid, and even tells Charlotte that you are the one that I want to be with, on Christmas. I mean, I'm not going to say that she was intentionally trying to dismiss Rocco or anything, but the fact that she even went there and said, you're the one I was looking for when I came out of my coma. But certainly interesting, especially since she's been followed by Colette. But I think one of the probably the most intriguing things of the storyline was actually more so in the delivery, and that we saw Valentine first through the intro on Friday's episode.
Yes, both you and I kind of shrieked when we saw Valentine appear in the intro. And so I will say, and something that you guys don't know that Brandon and I do is we kind of we look to see who's the last person who's introduced for that particular episode to see if the episode is really about that particular person. And so to see Valentine pop back in, that was so surprising. And actually, it was a pleasant feeling for me, even though I have not always been the biggest fan of Valentine. It was just nice to see that they're kind of bringing the storyline back a little bit, and they kind of give it some closure. I think maybe. So we'll see. All right. Our next storyline involves Brooklyn and Chase, and basically they're just disappointed that they aren't pregnant yet, and which is on the back end. And on the back end, what I think they're doing is kind of bringing up the fact that Brooklyn did have a baby previously. Um, but like I said, that's on the back end for everyone else to see. She's just disappointed that she's not pregnant. Michael and Willow, they are still they are still living separately. Michael is still very mad at Willow, but at the same time, he wants his marriage back together. And so, but they at the same time are both they both want to fight for the custody of their children. And so now Willow on her side is kind of being encouraged by Nina. Um, and then on the other side, Michael just wants what's best for his children. And so that's what's going on with them. Bran, anything that you'd like to add to the Michael Willow saga?
Yeah, just a little bit. So, we heard all throughout last week, which was all apparently Christmas Eve, that that Michael's going to have this big breakfast or brunch with Willow and the children on the morning of Christmas Day, and then of course we have completely skipped past Christmas Day. Now I'm not entirely sure as to where we are in the timeline now. I guess a few days after Christmas. Did they get the breakfast? Because it doesn't sound like Michael has seen his children in a while.
Well, they did make Michael did make a comment about he did see his kids on Christmas,
Okay.
but that was the only thing that was said, and he did tell that to Diane.
So yeah, and was Willow there? Did he mention that part?
He did not mention Willow, but I would assume that she would have been there for that because they were supposed to meet for brunch. So I would think that she just didn't drop them off.
We'll see, I guess. But yeah, but I think the most interesting part of that uh, is when Michael had to explain all this to Diane, and Diane said something along the lines of, "Ew, that's icky."
Yeah, yeah, she did say that, and so that was a nice conversation. Actually, interesting one to watch between Michael and Diane, and what Michael's plans are. Um, and so that's with Michael and Willow, and then another kind of to me a little surprise that kind of occurred. Brandon, all right. And then on another storyline that occurred has to deal with with Lucas. I was really surprised that Lucas actually came to see or went to go see Willow, and Ava happened to be there too. And and Lucas had a few words to say to Willow. He can't believe what she's done and everything like that. Ava did have to go and take Lucas away, and she did have a chat with him a little later about some of his actions and thoughts. Um, and then the last thing that kind of stood out to me was Joss and Brennan, because we have not really seen scenes with them really before. As Brennan came over to Carly's house after for Christmas Eve, and Joss and Brennan actually hit it off, and so they started talking and things and playing games. And Joss asked Brennan later about possible surveillance footage at the time that Dex was stabbed. Brennan made up some story about how they only keep things for roughly about 48 hours or so. And so, but as soon as he left the diner after speaking to Joss, he actually made a phone call. And so he's now trying to get the footage of, of Dex being stabbed in the park. And Bran, that is all I have for major storylines that happened during last week. Did you want to add anything?
Well, first of all, in terms of the whole thing with Lucas, I think I'd actually called it during our view. We didn't mention it on here, but I called that during my viewing last week. I was like, Lucas isn't going to have gone through losing his kid, and then for them to split up. That he's going to intervene in some way. I didn't realize they were actually going to go through with it, but that's something that I always thought was going to happen.
Yeah, and that was a good call, Brandon. Really good call. Did I leave out anything else?
I think for major storylines, that's about it, to my
All right.
knowledge.
All right, sounds good. So let's talk about our performers of the week. For me, you might be surprised at this. I kind of thought Emma was the performer of the week. I know she came in new, but I thought she hit the ground running with the storyline that was given to her. And then the second person I would say is Alexis. We didn't talk about this previously, but Alexis kind of had a couple funny scenes this week that we'll talk about later. And so she, for me, and along with Emma, were two of the actors or performers of the week. Brandon, who did you think were the performers of the week?
Okay, so I originally had decided it was going to be both Alexis and Brennan, but I really like your Emma choice.
Okay. All righty. And I thought Brendan did a good job too. All right. Let's see. As for amusing moments, oh gosh, there were so many. For me, Alexis and Rick decorating for Molly had to be the most amusing moment that I saw this week. I thought they did a wonderful job of acting together. I liked the way that they don't like each other, but at the same time they did everything they could for their daughter, and so I thought that was a very nice scene. The other scene that I'd like to actually mention is actually Alexis and Laura, and this happened at the attorney's office when they went to go see Martin Gray. At that time, Alexis and Laura do find out that Windermere will be given to Ace, but they had some immediate thoughts about what to do with the money, and they knew exactly what they wanted to do. They were ready to give it away, and then Martin had to tell them they had to wait until Ace is of age. As of today, Ace is close to 2. Of course, tomorrow he'll be 15. But as of right now, Ace is roughly about 2 years old. So they've got plenty of time to figure out what they're going to do with this money. All right, Brandon, what did you think your amusing moments of the week were?
Oh, easily, yeah, Alexis and Rick. I mean, I thought that was so hilarious on Monday's episode, and I really, really wish that they had continued it in some fashion and didn't put all those scenes to be, right at the commercial breaks, because we didn't even really get to see, but we only got a small glimpse of Molly's reaction to it, and I would have loved to see the three of them together, even if it's just a single scene.
Yeah, that would have been great to see. I mean, we just saw them together at the very end as she kind of grabs their hands. But other than that, we didn't get to see a reaction in regards to what would they have been like if they had all been together at Christmas rather than just a quick little scene.
Yeah, and earlier in that same episode, we saw Molly sort of lurking around Wright's Plaza, looking at like Christina and Sunny and Laura, and so, but we don't even know like what she was shopping for or if she was on a mission. Like she looked sort of determined a little bit, so we don't really pick that up this week.
We didn't. We didn't. We just saw them on that one day together. And then as for heartwarming scenes, for me, Danny and Jason had a very nice heartwarming scene this week. And then Sunny and Christina also had a nice heartwarming scene. Those are the two scenes that kind of stood out for me. All right, Bram, how about you?
So for me to add on to both of those, I'm gonna say Jocelyn and Brennan.
Oh yeah, they did have a nice scene together. I really like the way they bonded together, at Carly's house is what I'm specifically kind of talking about. All right. All right. Then, as for my fast forward moment, once more, it's Willow and Drew. I really didn't pay attention to them this week. I mean, I saw them and I heard a little bit of their conversation, but overall, I did not pay that much attention to them. All right, Brandon, your thoughts?
When it came to this, yeah, I didn't really think of any, but given that I'd completely forgotten about both of them even being in this week, I guess I'll have to choose that because I've forgotten about it.
All righty. And then this week to me was the week of the missing scenes. There were so many of them. First of all, Christmas Day. Where was it? Where did it go? We had such a lead up here. I think it would have been a great time for the Quartermains to get together one more time to have not they had a Christmas Eve party. Why not have a Christmas Day party with their family? That in itself would have been fun to see. I missed the conversation as you mentioned earlier in regards to Michael and his children on Christmas Day. They talked so much about it. I would have liked to have seen that played out. And so that's something that I missed this week also. I would have liked to see the conversation with Anna talking to Robin. Everyone who's watched General Hospital for many years knows that they have a very close relationship. I was glad to see they did mention that she had a conversation with Robin, but I would have loved to hear this conversation, or at least even if it's one sided, since of course Kimberly McCullough's not on the episode right now. But I would have loved to see, the look on Anna's face as she was listening to this conversation with Robin. And then of course, where did all the men go at Maxie's house when Emma arrived? They all just kind of disappeared. They were there when Emma came. Then they all kind of disappeared. We are told later that they've all playing with the kids, but they just kind of vanished at one time. And then Ava apparently has lost money, and or she doesn't have access to her money, and we don't really get much conversation about that. A person like Ava would talk about her loss of money, and even with Rick, but neither one of them really bring it up. I think she has a slight conversation with Trina, but that's it. There is not a frantic Ava who is missing money. All right, Brandon, what are your thoughts for what scenes missing this week?
Yeah, I mean, to me, the one I was going to definitely mention is, the whole thing with Ava's money. I mean, we had a whole lead up to it, and that seemed so intriguing. That was the one I was looking forward to. And then we just sort of, skip past it. Although we did get some sort of resolution with that in the sense that apparently Ace now gets all of Ava's money, which had a great scene from Alexis. I was like, well, why did you tell me that earlier? As she quickly signed that away. But the question is, why? Like, we had no. I would like to see the repercussions a little bit more.
Yeah, the same here. Same here. And that this is a big week for welcoming back. I mean, for such a short week, we are welcoming back Charlotte, Emma, and Valentine. Did I leave anyone out?
I think that is it. Although, yeah, I think that's it.
All right. And then once more, where is Kevin? I'm sorry, he's my person who's missing. Where's Kevin? I know there were more missing because it was a short week, but he's the one that stands out to me. Do you have someone who's standing out for you, Brandon?
Yeah, I think Kevin's the one I think that is really perpetually missing at this point in time that we know should be there.
Okay. And then as for next week, I look forward to seeing what Valentine's going to do. I mean, was he just there for the on Friday, or is he going to come back on a regular basis? And then also, I'd like to see some closure to Dex. Right now, I don't know where he is. Maybe he's still in the hospital. Who knows? But anyway, I would like to see them put some closure to Dex and to at least have some sort of service for him. And then I also would like to see. We all know that the character who plays Michael is leaving General Hospital, and so I would like to. And I know that his. I shouldn't say I know, but I've kind of read online that his last days, sometime in either January or February, I believe. And so I'd like to see how they're going to wrap up Michael. So I think that's the storyline I'm kind of looking forward to see how they kind of put some closure to Michael on General Hospital. All right, Brandon, what do you look forward to for next week?
In terms of next week, I definitely want to see more of Valentine, and I would like to see like actual, like a cohesive storyline with him, and not just we just threw him in and we're gonna leave it at that. Maybe he knows a little bit as to what's been going on all these few months, and I would like to see that he's able to actually prove to Lulu that he is a good father, since the whole thing that Lulu's trying to do is to take Charlotte back, and she, based off of this week, she really does not seem to want to leave her dad. So I'd sort of like to see a moment there, and yeah, but we did forget about one thing that I just remembered
And what is that?
with Sunny.
Oh yes, and yes, I left something out. At the scene, I believe it was on Thursday's episode. At the last minute, Sonny he clutches his chest. That's all he does, and so I don't know if that means that Sonny is going to have a heart attack soon. If he's going to be affected by this digitalis medicine, I'm not quite sure, but so that'll be interesting to see what happens next week in regards to Sonny and whether or not he goes straight to the hospital.
Yeah, and I'm very intrigued to see what happens with that, especially if it does happen with the Digitalis. Is Sunny's thing just natural, and then they're going to hit him with the Digitalis later, or is this that he was already affected? In which case, how? So certainly, lots of interesting thoughts.
Yeah, it is. It is. And we thank all of you guys for watching. And we hope that all of you have a new year. We know that New Year's Day is coming up soon. So we hope all of you have a wonderful new year. All right. We'll see you next time. Have a great day.